Pedro Alonso López was born on October 8, 1948, in the city of Santa Isabel, Colombia. His life began in an environment of extreme poverty and violence. He was the seventh child of his mother, Benilda López de Castañeda, a prostitute who raised her children in the midst of crime and misery. His father, a guerrilla fighter, was killed in combat before Pedro was even born. López's childhood was marked by abuse and abandonment. At just 8 years old, after being caught stealing small items, his mother expelled him from the house. With no family or support, Pedro was forced to live on the streets of Bogotá. During this time, he was sexually abused by older men, traumatic experiences that deeply shaped his psyche and would later influence his crimes. At the age of 12, López was taken in by an American couple who offered him shelter and education. However, he soon ran away after allegedly being abused by a teacher. With no direction, he returned to life on the streets, surviving through petty theft. As a teenager, López escalated his crimes. Around the age of 18, he was arrested for car theft and spent time in prison. Behind bars, he was sexually assaulted by fellow inmates, but according to reports, he later avenged himself by killing 3 of his attackers. This event hardened his personality and fueled his path toward greater violence. In the 1970s, after his release from prison, López began systematically targeting young girls between the ages of 8 and 12. He traveled across Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador, exploiting the vulnerability of poor, often orphaned children. López lured his victims with small gifts or promises of food, only to assault and murder them shortly afterward. In 1978, his crimes almost came to an end when he was captured in Ayacucho, Peru, by a local indigenous tribe who caught him trying to abduct a girl. They beat and tortured him, preparing to execute him, but an American missionary intervened and pleaded for his life. Instead of being executed, López was handed over to the Peruvian authorities. Shockingly, they released him at the border with Ecuador without keeping any official record of his crimes. He soon resumed his killing spree, which grew even more intense. Between 1979 and 1980, a wave of child disappearances in Ecuador began raising alarm. Police investigations eventually narrowed in on him. In March 1980, after a failed kidnapping attempt in Ambato, Ecuador, Pedro Alonso López was finally arrested. During interrogation, he confessed in horrifying detail to having murdered more than 300 girls across Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. He even led police to mass graves where several bodies were recovered, confirming parts of his testimony. The media dubbed him the Monster of the Andes due to the brutality of his crimes and the staggering number of victims. In 1981, López was tried in Ecuador and sentenced to 16 years in prison, the maximum penalty allowed in the country at that time. He served only 14 years and was released in 1994 for good behavior. López was then deported to Colombia, where he faced additional charges of murder. However, due to lack of sufficient evidence, he was released again in 1998. After that, his trail became unclear. Reports indicate he was arrested once more in 2002, suspected of being involved in the murder of a young woman in Tunja, Colombia, but details about the case remain scarce. From that point on, no verified information about his whereabouts exists. To this day, it remains uncertain whether Pedro Alonso López is alive or dead. If still living, he would be 77 years old in 2025. His whereabouts are a mystery. His case stands as one of the most disturbing in criminal history, not only because of the shocking number of victims, but also because of the failures of justice at various times in his life.